V takes over Hollywood, and Jungkook's mysterious silence has fans asking, what's going on between them? It began as another glamorous night in Los Angeles, a scene shimmering with a kind of golden light that only Hollywood knows how to cast. Cameras flashed, stylists whispered, journalists swarmed, and yet, amid the spectacle, one man seemed to command attention without even trying. Kim Taehyung, known to the world as V of BTS, had arrived. His appearance at the Vogue World Hollywood event wasn't just another celebrity sighting, it was a moment that reshaped the cultural conversation across continents. The way he stepped onto that red carpet, the way every lens turned toward him, every voice lowered as if waiting for a cue, Taehyung wasn't attending the event. He was owning it. But as his Hollywood presence dominated global headlines, a quieter mystery was brewing thousands of miles away. Where was Jungkook? The timing was too precise, too cinematic to be coincidence. As V's photos and clips went viral, his effortlessly cool smile, his tailored black ensemble, his subtle yet lethal charisma, fans noticed something that sent a ripple of unease through the fandom. Jungkook, the other half of the duo that has often shared the same spotlight, was nowhere to be found. His social media had gone silent. His live streams, once frequent, had stopped. For an artist known for his constant connection with fans, this silence wasn't just strange. It was deafening, and so the questions began. Was Jungkook avoiding the spotlight intentionally, or was something deeper happening between the two global icons? Could this be a strategic separation, or a reflection of something unspoken? Hollywood has seen its share of dramatic duos, of public contrasts between those who shine on stage and those who retreat into the shadows. But when it comes to V and Jungkook, the lines between art, loyalty, and identity blur in ways few can fully understand. As V dazzled alongside Hollywood elites, Anna Wintour, Zendaya, Timothée Chalamet, his name trending in over 40 countries, Jungkook's silence created a void that fans filled with emotion, worry, and speculation. What could cause one of the most outspoken, expressive artists of his generation to vanish at the very moment his bandmate was lighting up the global stage? The answer, it seems, might not be as simple as distance or timing. The world has long watched BTS not just as musicians, but as symbols of an entire generation, men who bridged East and West, art and activism, fame and humility. Their influence reshaped what it meant to be a global idol. Yet since their military service hiatus, which began in 2022 and concluded in June 2025, the narrative around them has shifted. Each member, now free to explore individual pursuits, faces a new kind of scrutiny. What happens when you've conquered the world together and now have to find your place apart? For V, the path seems clear. His artistic direction has taken him beyond music, into fashion, film, and a redefinition of what a Korean artist can represent in Hollywood. That's why his recent trip to Los Angeles felt more than symbolic. It was strategic, a declaration that he was ready to merge K-pop prestige with Western influence on his own terms. But for Jungkook, whose perfectionism has always bordered on spiritual obsession, this new era seems heavier, lonelier. It's not that Jungkook isn't thriving. Even during the group's hiatus, he continued to dominate charts, headlines, and hearts. His singles topped global streaming platforms, and just this month, he was ranked number 4 in the top 100 most handsome faces of K-pop 2025, a reminder that his magnetism remains untouchable. Yet the irony is cruel. He's everywhere and nowhere at once. Behind the ranking, behind the accolades, there's an absence that fans can't explain. Was the silence a creative retreat? Or a quiet act of rebellion? When the rankings were released, another name entered the spotlight. jeon, the new face from rookie group AHF, who shockingly debuted at number 3, just one place above Jungkook. The group's EP Who We Are sold nearly 370,000 copies in its first week, a staggering number for newcomers. The timing, again, felt orchestrated. BTS completing their military service, a new generation rising, and Jungkook caught in a strange limbo between legend and living myth. V smiled for photographers under the California sun. Jungkook's silence grew heavier. And in the digital era, Silence is louder than any scandal. Fans began connecting dots in ways that only ARMY could, through timestamps, old live streams, and the tiniest gestures. When taehyung posted a brief video from his hotel balcony, overlooking the Los Angeles skyline, fans noticed the music faintly playing in the background. It was soft, melancholic, unmistakable. Jungkook's Still With You. The discovery sent social media into a frenzy. Was this a message? A quiet acknowledgement? A sign that V was thinking of Jungkook even from across the ocean? Or was it a coincidence that simply fanned the flames of longing? If taehyung meant to send a signal, it worked. Within hours, hashtags like #VJungkookMystery, #Hollywood vs. Silence, and #TaeKookIsRealAgain dominated X's trending page. Some fans argued this was nothing more than timing, V promoting his global image, Jungkook taking a well-earned rest. Others believed the opposite, that something personal had fractured the balance between them, something too delicate to address publicly. The truth, however, may lie somewhere in between. Industry insiders whisper that the past few months have been marked by a quiet tension within the company. HYBE, while celebrating the completion of BTS's military service, faces a new challenge: how to manage 7 global stars, each now a brand unto themselves. V's Hollywood momentum and Jungkook's artistic introspection represent 2 paths, one outward, one inward, that mirror not conflict, but evolution. And yet, evolution always comes with risk. Even within the fan community, emotions are divided. One moment, ARMY celebrates taehyung's rise as a cultural ambassador. The next, they mourn Jungkook's digital disappearance. Every silence feels like a statement, every appearance like an answer to a question that no one dares to ask out loud. Are they drifting apart or quietly supporting each other from behind the scenes? Observers point out that taehyung's Hollywood success isn't just personal, it's political. His presence represents South Korea's artistic power, a global wave that began years ago when BTS was still fighting for recognition. The Military Service Act revision of 2020, which allowed idols to defer enlistment until age 30, was a direct acknowledgement of BTS's impact on national culture. It was also a moment of realization. These 7 young men had become more than entertainers. They were national treasures. Now, with their service completed, the world is watching to see how they move next. V's appearance in Los Angeles is more than just a red carpet event. It's a message to the world that BTS's influence did not end with enlistment. It's a statement of rebirth. But Jungkook's silence complicates that message. While V moves forward, Jungkook's retreat has turned into an emotional riddle that even the most loyal fans can't solve. Could his quiet be a creative cocoon? A moment before an explosion of artistry? Or is it exhaustion? A human response to years of being everything to everyone? What makes this question so painful is how deeply fans feel both ends of the spectrum. They've seen taehyung's charm light up runways and award shows, just as they've seen Jungkook's sincerity break records from behind the microphone. Together, they've been the heartbeat of BTS, the stage fire and the quiet flame. To see one soar and the other vanish creates a kind of emotional imbalance, like watching day chase night. And so, the narrative deepens. Hollywood is watching. Korea is watching. The entire world, it seems, is waiting for Jungkook to speak. A few nights after V's Vogue appearance, something strange happened. Fans noticed that Jungkook's Spotify profile briefly updated, then reverted minutes later. No new release, no teaser. Just a flicker. A glitch. But in the fandom, even glitches mean something. Did he log in? Was he testing something? Or was it his quiet way of saying, "I'm still here"? The silence grows heavier by the day, and yet it's alive with meaning. Fans dissect his last Weverse comment from months ago, where he said, "When everything feels too loud, sometimes I choose quiet." At the time, it felt poetic. Now, it feels prophetic. Meanwhile, V continues to stride through Hollywood as if he's walking through destiny. His interviews are calm, his confidence disarming. When asked about his bandmates, he smiles softly and says, "We're all finding our own colors right now. When the time comes, those colors will blend again." It's a beautiful answer, But it doesn't stop the ache, because behind the lights, the cameras, the global acclaim, there's a longing that neither red carpets nor silence can hide. V is the light that conquers Hollywood. Jungkook is the echo that refuses to fade. And together, even apart, they create a tension that feels almost cosmic, a reminder that some connections don't need words, only presence. So the question remains, echoing across continents, whispered in every fan chat, tweeted in every time zone, pulsing under every headline. Why is Jungkook silent while V shines so loudly? Is it strategy, emotion, timing, or something more profound? As Hollywood continues to bow to V's effortless command, as photos of him light up billboards and digital timelines, somewhere in the quiet, Jungkook is watching. Maybe creating, maybe healing, maybe waiting, and maybe, just maybe, the next time he speaks, the world will understand that sometimes silence isn't absence. It's the sound of something extraordinary taking shape, because in the story of BTS, nothing happens by accident. And this moment of distance, of contrast, of question, is not an ending. It's the tension before the next chapter begins, and that next chapter, though unseen, is already trembling beneath the surface of the world's most watched fandom, IN Seoul, in Los Angeles. In every bedroom where armies stay up past midnight refreshing Wevers, there's a collective sense of anticipation, a silent electricity that hums whenever V posts a picture or Jungkook's name trends without reason. It's as if the universe itself is holding its breath, waiting for the two to realign. Because when it comes to V and Jungkook, nothing ever fades quietly. It only transforms into something deeper. Over the years, their connection has been one of BTS's most compelling mysteries. Fans remember the early days, the late-night V-Live sessions, the teasing glances on stage, the quiet, unguarded moments when Jungkook would look at Taehyung as if seeing a mirror of his own ambition. They were never just colleagues. They were cosmic opposites drawn to the same gravity. One embodied dreamlike confidence, the other raw, restless vulnerability. Together, they created a chemistry that no choreography could script. Now, that same chemistry has shifted from stage lights to silence. It's a new kind of dialogue, unspoken, maybe even strategic. Because while the world speculates about distance, insiders whisper that Jungkook's retreat may be more deliberate than anyone thinks. Sources close to HYB have quietly suggested that Jungkook is preparing a project unlike anything he's done before. Something introspective, stripped of pop glamour, a body of work that explores the darker corners of fame and solitude. If true, that would explain everything. The silence, the absence, the mysterious calm before a creative storm. And yet, as much as fans crave answers, they also crave reunion. The longing for a Taehyung Jungkook moment, a photo, a comment, even the smallest digital gesture, has reached near mythical proportions. Each time V steps onto a global stage, Jungkook's name trends beside his. Every headline about V's Hollywood dominance is mirrored by another. Where is Jungkook? But make no mistake, this isn't rivalry. It's rhythm, because if V represents the expansion of BTS's artistry into the external world, fashion, film, cultural ambassadorship, then Jungkook embodies its introspection, the emotional gravity that grounds the group's soul. Together, they form a push and pull that defines not only their friendship, but the evolution of the BTS era itself. That's what makes this chapter so hauntingly beautiful. We're watching two artists diverge, not because they've lost each other, but because they're searching for different truths. When V stepped into Hollywood this month, he wasn't leaving K-pop behind. He was taking it into a new dimension. His presence on the Vogue World stage wasn't about status, it was about statement. Every pose, every smile, every step down that crimson carpet was a declaration. Korean artistry belongs here, too. And somewhere, perhaps far from the noise, Jungkook might have been watching, not as a rival, but as a brother. Maybe he smiled, maybe he felt pride, or maybe he simply stayed silent, because sometimes, when someone you care for is shining, the loudest love is the kind that doesn't interrupt. Still, the contrast between their paths is too captivating to ignore. V's world right now is champagne lights and cinematic glamour, the sound of cameras clicking like applause. Jungkook's world is shadows and reflection, his creative pulse beating in private. But in the strange symmetry of fate, these worlds may be preparing to collide again. There are rumors, whispers really, that the two could reunite for a special collaboration once Jungkook's new project is complete. Nothing official, nothing confirmed, but those close to the industry describe it as emotionally loaded and artistically groundbreaking. If it's true, it could be the kind of moment that redefines not only BTS's legacy, but the entire pop culture landscape.